Welcome to What's Broken. This is a little adapter cable for a trickle charger for my buddy's wife's motorcycle over winter. They like to plug them in and just keep the batteries warm. The problem is it's reverse polarity. Say this is, let me see, this is a negative or the positive side and this is the negative. Well, they should be reversed over to here. So what I've done is put a dab of paint on the one side so I can keep track of it, and all I'm going to do is cut it, strip the wires a bit, slide some heat shrink over it, solder them up, and reverse it, because right now the charger won't work on her motorcycle. So let's go about, now you might be thinking I could just go in and switch the other end of the wires that this plugs into from positive to negative, and I suggested that to him, but to get at the battery you have to take a whole bunch of pieces apart. It's a, I think it's a Victory, and it looked to be more, sort of more trouble than it's worth. So I suggested I would switch these. And then they could put the charger on it. I kind of messed up the insulation on that a little bit. But we should be able to get it fixed up. I'm just going to pop this heat shrink over where I got a little close to the insulation. Bared it a little too much. I'll slip this heat shrink down out of the way. So one of these wires has some ribbing on the outside of the insulation and the other one's smooth. I'll just make sure I have those opposite from each other. I think the wire I have is flux core, but a little bit of extra don't hurt. Make sure I get some on both sides. Mentioned in a few of my other videos, I'm a much better welder than I am a solderer. Solder? Okay, so that's cooled off. And slip the heat shrink over it. Okay, got the shrink tube on the one. Get the other one put together. Just prepping the other one for a little bit of solder. I think that might have it. That should do it. I'll just let it cool down and then I'll slide the shrink tube over it and wrap it up with some green tape. Okay, feels like it's cooled off. Shrink this side down now. We've got 2 or 3 motorcycles, so I'm going to wrap this one with green tape because I think they sort of alternate and charge all 3 of them throughout the winter. So they'll know that this one belongs to her bike. Just check for continuity. So that zeroes out. That one's good. That one's good. Okay. Well, should be able to plug that in and put a trickle charge on our battery this winter. So when the trickle charger is plugged in, it flashes yellow. I got the new cable here plugged in, and when it's working it just goes to a steady yellow light. So now I'm just going to plug it into the bike, and we'll see if that light goes to a steady yellow. And I'd mentioned earlier about just switching the cables on the battery itself to reverse the polarity or whatever. But to get in at it, there's a number of different shrouds, and there's the radiator for the bike, so it's a bit of a pain. So we'll go back and have a look at the light. Oh, and the light is now flashing green, so that shows that it is providing a trickle charge. So I guess that little repair on the cable worked. Okay, so just to wrap up this video, it's now gone from a blinking green to a solid green, so the battery's all topped up and good to go. Alright, we'll catch you on the flip side.